Hey everybody, Tara here with a Wifey Wake Up No Makeup podcast. Hey, it's not morning time, but waking up means all sorts of things, right? And so, no makeup, a while back, my husband suggested while we were talking about wifey school, he says, do it with no makeup. And I tell you, it still kind of makes me cringe because we all like to, add our little highlights and touches. But I think he's right. And I think doing things that really challenge you are important. But I'm going to tell you if I do have anything on and why I think it's important to guys and ladies. Awkward start. I feel like this is an awkward start. We're going to be talking about in just a minute here that he doesn't just want your body. So, no makeup. Well, I have just a light bit of powder, so I'm not like reflecting everything, and a bit of lip gloss, just because it's nice to have a little bit of lip color. But that's it. He told me that he suggested that, and that actually he prefers me with really no makeup or little to no makeup because, and I think this is more in the dating scene, I think that's just generally his preference, but in the dating scene, if you're out there, if you're listening to this and you're still dating, but you're aiming for those wonderful wifely traits, good for you, first of all, but also know that it is often seen as men. Now, of course, there's going to be guys that like makeup, but the more you put on is literally a facade. So it's a fake appearance, right? It's a fake layer. And it is literally suggesting that you are hiding your true self. And so when you go with very little or no makeup, it gives the impression that it gives the impression, but also you literally are showing your true self. And that often implies also that when you're interacting with men, that you are showing your true self as well. And so that's the interesting thing, is that my husband and I met at his gym, actually a martial arts gym. And so naturally I would just not wear makeup. Although I know some women do today wear a ton of makeup to the gym. But just a heads up, if you're wanting to give off those vibes and also be that really wifey material. Okay, so just a little tip to start with. So he doesn't just want your body. I wrote up a little something about this because there are just some key points that I want to make sure to emphasize. And first of all, so that's great news, right? It's great news to know that a quality man doesn't just want your body. But there's also kind of a caveat to that. And this is something I learned it took a good decade of marriage for me to really get this. And this came up because, especially early in our marriage, my husband's appetite, you could say, was extremely strong. So once a day was good, and more than that was better, if you're catching my drift. And thankfully, that's tapered off a bit, but not soon enough in my own mind at the time. And I really learned something valuable through this, that it seemed at the time that he was just like this testosterone tornado, okay? And, it's nice to be wanted, but like when you're overly wanted as a woman, and I know women, you're hearing me here, that it's like, okay, can I just do the dishes? Can't I just pick up something off the floor without you being all over me? That wasn't a signal, okay? And then I know for men too, that, once we start perceiving that and just kind of like cringing, like every touch is going to take it to the next level, that's when we start kind of separating, right? He wants to show his love and care and his affection and his desire for you. And when it becomes so frequent, women, right? It's like, oh, is that touch going to lead to something else? And that really leads to so much like angst in the marriage. But what I learned was, first of all, there's that, right? That's its own issue. But also that, I would go along with it. I was like, okay, we would have talks. He's like, I need you often. And I, tried to have a good attitude about it and not just see it as a job or a task. But in hindsight, I learned that that's what I was doing. I was seeing, okay, that's another thing I've got to do today. And more, I started acting in that way. I didn't necessarily know that. I didn't know how that was coming across. But as I've said before, my husband's a wonderful communicator. He's very clear about, what he sees is going on, how that makes him feel, and not like, oh, that makes me feel, but in a really, really practical way. He explains those things, and I see some questions and comments chiming in. I'll take a look at those once I'm done here, so I don't lose my train of thought. And he really clearly communicated to me one day that he was sensing that I was responding to him in that way, like it was a chore, like it was a task. And what he said to me, what I can recall the message being, is he said, I want you to want me. Hi, there's a song, right? Like he says, the 80s were a happy time. And although it's a fun song, I want you to want me, right? And when he said it like that, I thought, oh, that makes sense. That it had become such a chore for me that I was there going through the motions, but I wasn't there. I was there for him, but I wasn't there for him. And that was a point, fortunately, I think in a way I could reflect upon that. Like, what if it was me saying that to him? What if I was saying to him, I know you're here, but I want you to want me. I want you to want it. I want you to want to be with me. And that really struck me. And I wish I could say that things changed overnight. Like, it made sense right away, and it just, I changed things overnight. But it took me a while to change not only my attitude, because the attitude changes first, and then the rest of you can come along. And I'm happy to say that that was a very pivotal time in our marriage, and especially for me. And I think it's really a wonderful thing too, because I appreciate the way he said it, and I think it was extremely genuine, because that's the way my husband is. And it likely applies to so many other husbands out there, I would say. And from what, we have conversations of what to talk about on Wifey School as well. And because we get married wanting, and envisioning that desire is still going to be there, right? That it's going to be reciprocated, that it's going to be reflected back to us. And we have to be willing participants. And by willing participants, I don't mean just like physically right away, like you're going to force yourself to do something. You first are a willing participant in your mind and in your heart, and then the body can follow. And so I just really, really recommend, especially ladies, if you're having difficulties in this area, and then this, I'll address other issues later on, but this specific one is really taking some time to rekindle that love and appreciation. And boy, that's a whole nother topic, right? Because once you've gotten to certain stages in a relationship, and maybe you've built up resentment, or worse, or just, you're just annoyed with each other, that can be tough. So we'll address that in other arenas. But just know that if you're feeling like it's a chore, he's feeling it too. And he wants you to want him. Let's see. The West of Pico says, no amount of any type of pleasure can arrive to the pleasure of finding a thoroughly educated and cultivated woman who isn't brainwashed by societal norms and stands strong on her viewpoints. Wow, I think you're saying a lot there. And if there's anything specific that you want to convey as well, please do, because I think there's a room for interpretation there as well. But absolutely, number one, and I try to say this often because it really, really, really matters, is make sure you're talking with each other. Make sure you're communicating. And I know it sounds like pablum after a while when relationship advisors are saying you have to communicate. Communication is key, but it really is. And most of all, I recommend you to not only focus on communicating like what you want to say, but listen. And I'm specifically talking to the ladies here. And I know the tendency is that, but I want him to hear me. But you'd be surprised if once you listen and listen and listen and don't just come back with something, how eventually he will want to hear what you have to say as well. Okay, I'm already getting onto another subject, but I just wanted to give you some helpful hints there as well on how to move on if this is a struggle that you're having. I really love to hear from you. Make sure to comment in the comment section. Please put your questions. I'd be happy to address them, especially in a single podcast. And make sure to like, subscribe, and share with someone maybe who they came to mind while this topic came up. And this could be the thing that really helps them. Okay, so we'll see you soon. Make sure to follow also. I'm on Instagram. And you can follow along, of course, here on YouTube if that's where you're finding this. And have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.